Welcome to the deep dive, where we get straight into the heart of the sources you need to know about.
That's right.
Today, we're looking at what one very active retired couple in Dublin calls the third chapter. Basically, their take on life after 50.
And it's quite a detailed take. These sources, well, they give us a really practical window into that whole post-work transition.
Uh-huh.
So our job today is to pull out the roadmap they've kind of charted. It focuses on, let's see, three main things: new activities and skills, some pretty ambitious global travel, and importantly, community contribution.
And I have to say, their core philosophy, it's really positive. They see retirement less as an ending and more like well, their words, a wonderful opportunity to experience and learn new things and tackle your bucket list.
Exactly. It's all about movement. Continuous learning, adapting, and adjusting. That's the phrase they use.
So definitely not about slowing down in a passive way.
Not at all. It's presented as a very active phase of life.
Okay, so let's get into that transition because, even with all that positive energy, the sources are quite blunt about the challenge.
Absolutely. They don't sugarcoat it.
They actually describe retirement as this major life change, and ending that long work relationship, it can feel apparently just like losing any other big relationship.
Yeah, the emotional weight is significant. They talk about people missing the sense of direction, the day-to-day chat with colleagues.
It's the camaraderie.
That's it. And those shared goals, working towards something together. It's not just the paycheck that disappears.
Right.
It's the whole framework that tells you where to be and maybe even who you are for a huge chunk of your day.
That structure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge point. You don't realize how much your daily habits revolve around the job until it's gone. And the couple, they really stress that staying happy means you have to consciously, actively say goodbye to some of those old work-life habits.
Adaptation becomes the name of the game. And interestingly, some retirees, according to the sources, actually used to do some part-time or flexible work.
Oh, okay, like easing into it.
Sort of a soft landing, yeah. Maybe to get a better work-life balance than they ever had before retirement. But the real takeaway here, the thing that kind of underpins all the advice that follows on travel and volunteering, it's that the toughest bit is often staring at that blank schedule.
That empty page.
Exactly. And realizing you have to be the one to fill in those blanks proactively.
Okay, but hang on. Does filling the blanks risk making retirement feel like, well, another job? Are they saying you need that rigid structure back?
That's a fair question. It's less about rigid structure, more about proactive choice.
Right.
You can't just drift into a fulfilling retirement, apparently. You need to schedule things that give you purpose. The risk isn't having too much free time. It's having no compass, no direction.
So you need to recalibrate.
Precisely. And the way you do that is by finding new things, new activities that give you that sense of achievement you might have lost from work.
Okay, that makes sense. And it leads perfectly into the list of activities they suggest. And this is where it gets really interesting because the sheer variety, it just hammers home that idea. It's never too late to start.
Absolutely. The career ladder's gone. You find other ladders to climb, personal ones.
Like physical activities, they mentioned golf, specifically pointing out it's one of the few sports where you can genuinely start at any age.
Yeah, people taking it up in their 50s, 60s, even later, and still improving. It's a great example of lifelong learning, physically.
And then, quite adventurously, they suggest scuba diving.
I know. Not a casual hobby.
No. They frame it as an active aging alternative, a gateway to personal growth. That fits perfectly with replacing professional challenge with personal challenge.
Right. And the list keeps going. Cycling, serious hill walking, even orienteering, which requires focus.
And learning to sail, even as a complete beginner.
It's about pushing boundaries, and that desire for mastery, it extends to mind and body stuff too, like Tai Chi or Tai Chi Chuan, technically.
Ah, yes. Most people see it as just gentle exercise, meditation.
Which it is, partly, but they point out its origins. The literal meaning is supreme ultimate boxing.
Wow. Supreme ultimate boxing. That changes the perspective, doesn't it?
It really does.
It suggests it's not passive drifting. It's about active control, mastering complex movements, kind of like retirement itself, maybe. You need active control over this new life chapter.
That's a great way to put it. Very apt. And then there's the whole intellectual side, especially digital skills.
Ah, technology. Always a big topic for older adults.
So this Dublin couple, they really push embracing it. They basically say computers are like anything else. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Simple as that.
Which tackles that fear factor head on. And they have this clever idea. suggesting older adults could learn digital stuff alongside young kids.
Yeah, treating it like every day is a school day kind of
Mm.
turns the tables on who's the teacher.
Haha, yeah, instead of the grandkids being the IT support desk.
Exactly. Beyond tech, though, they also champion creative things. Learning guitar, for instance. Age is no barrier there.
True.
And for those with a lifetime of experience or stories, they even offer a guide on how to start and run your own blog, sharing that wisdom.
And finally, very relevant for Ireland, they mention the men's sheds movement.
Yes, originating in Australia, but big in Ireland, too. They see it as vital for mental health, for sharing practical skills, and just for friendship.
It provides that structured camaraderie again, doesn't it? A replacement for the workplace, in a way.
Absolutely. A really important social outlet.
Okay, so you started filling the diary at home with maybe golf or Tai Chi or blogging.
Right, you've built some confidence, found some purpose.
And then you're ready to tackle the really big adventures. Global travel.
And boy, do they travel. The list in the sources is incredible. They break it down by continent, showing they're after diverse cultural experiences, not just fly and flop holidays.
We're talking Cape Town, Morocco, then over to Asia, the Maldives, Japan, Vietnam.
Australasia too, New Zealand,
Yeah.
Australia, then the Americas, Galapagos, Argentina, New York, the Carolinas. Extensive lists for Europe and the Caribbean as well. It's comprehensive.
It really is globe-trotting. And they don't just list places. They talk about the type of travel, the challenge involved.
Exactly. Like a flotilla sailing trip that's not passive in the Bay of Naples.
Yeah.
Or a self-guided tour of Innismore out west in Ireland.
Right, requiring initiative, but also guided tours for complex places like Buenos Aires or Iguazu Falls.
So a mix of independence and support.
And because their travel experience is so vast, their practical tips feel really grounded.
Definitely. They offer top tips for senior travelers. And interestingly, the #1 tip isn't about cheap flights or packing.
Who is it?
It's simply take it easy and, crucially, not to push yourself too far. Self-awareness seems key.
That makes sense. And it's striking how current their advice is. They get into the nitty-gritty of planning.
Yeah, they dedicate whole sections to choosing between hotels and rentals, general trip planning strategies.
And they even tackle travel in the COVID world and hotel changes in a COVID world. They're clearly adapting their own advice as things change.
Which shows that continuous adapting philosophy in action, doesn't it?
It really does. And hey, for listeners maybe not planning around the world trip just yet, they also include local tips.
That's right. Things like a Dublin City Top 10 and, quite amusingly, a guide to the top mistakes not to make in Ireland. Essential reading, perhaps.
Okay, so travel is amazing, but you can't be on the road all the time. Maintaining purpose back home is crucial.
And that brings us neatly to their third pillar, volunteering. They see this as offering purpose, a way to contribute that they'll last longer than a holiday tan.
Definitely. And this section introduces a really interesting concept they call the functional threshold.
Ah, yes, this is important.
They argue that switching from being a volunteer, the giver, to becoming a recipient of services, well, it's not about hitting a certain birthday.
Exactly. It's functional and situational. It totally depends on your individual health, your mobility, your ability to actually do the volunteering task safely and effectively.
So you could have a very active 80-year-old still contributing loads, while maybe a 7-year-old with significant health issues might be transitioning more towards receiving support.
Precisely. Age isn't the deciding factor. Capacity is.
And they also touch on things like reciprocal volunteering models, which sounds less like traditional charity work.
Yeah, things like time banking or mutual aid networks. It blurs the lines.
How does that work practically?
Well, say you spend an hour helping a neighbor set up their email that's you volunteering. Then maybe they spend an hour helping you with some gardening that's you receiving.
Ah, I see. It's an exchange.
Yeah, exactly. It's mutual support, which can be psychologically really valuable, especially for older adults who want to feel they're still contributing, not just receiving.
Makes sense. Now, when they talk about the strength older volunteers bring, it's quite powerful. Experience, wisdom, that lifetime of knowledge, skills, and problem-solving ability.
Huge assets for any organization.
Mm-hmm.
But you picked up on the emotional maturity and patience point.
Yes. Is that mainly because mentoring roles are so common or needed?
Very much so. Their calmness, their perspective, it's invaluable for mentoring younger people, maybe counseling, or even just providing steady, reliable support. Think about helpline volunteers.
Uh-huh. Plus, they generally bring a strong work ethic and reliability, dependability.
Absolutely. But realistically, they also flag the challenges.
Right. The potential weaknesses or threats.
Yeah. Things like technology barriers, if a role needs online forms or databases, that can be an issue for some. Transport difficulties, especially if someone stops driving,
Okay.
a big one. The risk of overcommitment or burnout. Retirees can be so keen to find purpose that they sometimes take on too much too fast.
That's a real risk. And then there are external factors too.
Yes, things like ageism, unfortunately, stereotyping, or role misalignment, being given tasks that are way too simple and don't use their skills at all. That can be really disheartening.
So to make it concrete, they give actual examples of flexible opportunities, especially around Dublin, where they're based.
They do. For example, Alone, the charity, offers one-to-one befriending visits, but also really flexible telephone support you can do from home.
Okay, lowers the barrier to entry.
Exactly. And Age Action has roles that directly use specific skills, like their Getting Started programs, helping older people get online, tapping into that digital literacy need we mentioned,
Yeah.
or their Care and Repair service, using practical DIY skills for small jobs around the house.
And then their senior line, that sounds unique.
It is. It's a national confidential listening service run by and for older people. Crucially, it's phone-based, so very accessible. And the volunteers are often peers, typically 60-plus, offering real understanding.
Peer support. That sounds incredibly valuable. Hashtag, outro.
So if we boil down this deep dive into the third chapter, a really fulfilling retirement seems to balance on these three legs.
Right.
Actively cultivating new skills, digital, physical, whatever,
Yeah.
grabs you to sort of replace that career progression.
Then pursuing those bigger global experiences through smart, self-aware travel.
Yes. And crucially, maintaining social connection and a sense of contribution, often through volunteering.
Yeah.
That connection piece, it's the real antidote to potential loneliness.
But that raises a really profound point they make themselves in the source material. They say something like, traveling in retirement is great, however, being at home is harder.
That hits home, doesn't it?
It really does. It forces you to think, okay, how do you make sure that the time not spent traveling the everyday weeks and months at home feels just as valuable, just as meaningful?
And I suppose the answer goes back to that idea of active mastery. The Tai Chi approach, maybe. Not just drifting, but intentionally shaping your days.
Yeah. So thinking about all these detailed options for learning new things, for volunteering, the question for you, the listener, is what specific interest, what passion are you going to use to fill that blank schedule, as they put it? How will you stay connected and purposeful when you're not actually on the road?
A big question to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. We hope these insights from this Dublin couple's experience might just inspire you to start sketching out your own meaningful third chapter.